With your
Yes.
permission, I'm recording.
Okay.
So let's start. So, in what type of
Okay.
place did you grow up as a child?
Okay. As a child, I grew up in a small town in Dhaka, Bangladesh. Uh, Usually, at that time, there were uh, I don't know.
Okay. So, did you have any
I,
friends in your childhood?
okay. Yeah, I have many friends in my childhood. Uh, Usually, when I was in kindergarten, I used to have a lot of friends. I am a very friendly and amiable person, and I usually get along with people very easily.
All right.
I find it very enjoyable to start
Okay.
any conversation with someone.
How were the teachers in your school, like in your primary school?
Okay. Okay. The teachers in my primary school were very friendly and very accepting. They usually were very kind mm, and very friendly towards us. They used to be more of a friend and or a companion more than a teacher. Like we
Okay,
could.
that'll be all. Let me ask you about your family. Do you live in a big family or a small one?
I come from a small family in Dhaka. I live with my parents, my grandmother, and my younger sister. Sadly, my grandfather passed away 6 years ago due to a heart attack, and I am the eldest son in my family.
Okay. Do you think it's important to have a big family for a child to grow up properly, or a small family is a better one?
Um, okay. I believe that in order to grow up, the family size doesn't matter. We can grow up in a big family or a small family, but in a big family, there will be a lot of family members. So it will be there will be a lot of people to spend time with, have good conversations with. Sometimes in a small family, the family members might be busy, so we may find it hard to spend time with someone, or we might get lonely sometimes.
Okay,
So
that's enough.
okay.
Let's just change the topic of discussion. How often do you browse the internet?
Okay. Whenever I get any leisure time, I try to go through the internet because there are lots of educational stuffs in internet, as well as sometimes I browse the internet for entertainment factors. um, Sometimes when I come across a new word, I try to browse the internet and find its meaning, or sometimes to watch an enjoyable video or movie, I browse the internet because
Okay,
I feel.
that will be enough. Uh, how important do you think is the internet when it comes to providing education, and why
Okay.
is it important?
Okay. Internet is a huge source to provide education because uh, in internet there are many websites such as Wikipedia. There is Google, from where we can get information about an unknown topic that we are oblivious of. So, in if we are confused about something, we can clarify our confusion or clear our confusion by browsing the internet. And to get a detailed information about something, we can search through the internet. Suppose if we find any unknown word or idioms, we can go to the internet and learn about it. And we can also try to learn about some unknown topics that we haven't come across before.
That will be enough.
So
That will be enough. Now I'm going to give you a topic, and you will have 1 minute to think about the topic. You can take some short notes, and then you start talking for
okay.
1.5 or 2 minutes. Okay. So let me just show you the topic now.
Yeah,
Can you see the topic
sure.
now?
Yes, I can see.
Allowing you 1 minute. Let's start. Start.
Okay. Um, I recently watched a movie 1 week ago. The movie is called Photo Frame. It's a Bengali movie, and this movie was this movie was featured. This movie features two important characters, Afran, Nishu, and Mezabin. Uh, this movie recently uh, have been very popular. So while one day I was browsing the internet, uh, I came across this movie and it seemed quite interesting to me. So I decided to watch it. Uh, this movie usually is about a shopkeeper who sells photo frame. So it's actually a funny movie because the characters uh, usually uh, throw some funny dialogues which makes us laugh and also entertains us a lot. The shopkeeper usually makes photo frames of different people, and different people like people sometimes come to the shopkeeper and make photo frames of their loved ones or their friends or themselves. So one day a man came to the shopkeeper and wanted to make a photo frame of his father. But later, the shopkeeper read in the newspaper that that man's father was in an orphanage, was in an old age home, because that man left his father in that old age home and did not take care of him. So, because of that man's negligence, his father died.
That
But
will be
the
enough.
shop,
2 minutes
okay,
plus it is already.
okay,
Okay, so I'm going to ask you some more questions. As you said,
okay,
the movie was a funny one, comedy
yes,
one. So, which part of the movie, or why do you think it touched your heart? What was
okay.
so special?
Okay. The ending of the movie was the part that touched my heart, or it was somewhat emotional because, as I was saying, that at the last, when the shopkeeper realized that the man who came to make the photo frame of his father, it's the same man who left his father at the old age home, and because of that man's negligence, his father died
Okay,
because his father was suffering from a disease.
all right,
So
that's okay. So, do you often watch this type of funny movies or drama?
Um, yes, whenever I get time or whenever I have free time, I try to watch it for entertainment purpose.
What type of movie do you mostly watch?
Mostly, I try to watch horror movies because it suits my liking, and I enjoy the thrill factor in those movies.
All right.
Okay.
Do you think movie is an important mode of entertainment for people of any culture to get enlightened?
Yes, because there are many educational movies which teaches us great lessons of life. And even in movies, there are some English movies which also teaches us English and new words which we are unaware of. So by watching movies, we can get to know about these unknown facts and some very important lessons of our life
All right.
that is very helpful for us.
That'll be fine. Okay. If you were given a chance to make a movie yourself, what kind of theme would you choose and why?
Um, since I'm a mm, big fan of, okay, if I was given a, if I was given the opportunity to create a movie, I would probably make a movie on family because nowadays we see that people are so busy in their lives that we tend to ignore our family members, especially our parents, the person who raised us. So, and nowadays it's also very common to see that people are leaving their parents in old age home or neglecting them. But I feel that it's high time we should realize that we should give more importance to them than any other person.
Thank you.
And
That's enough. Thank you. So that's all for your speaking mock for today. I'm going to analyze your performance and give you the score. The score I would like to give you is 6. Okay.
okay,
And I'm going to explain why I gave you 6 and not more or less. First of all, you're able to generate sentences of different types, but while talking, you sometimes hesitate or take some time to think.
yes,
All right.
okay,
The other thing is that, for example, in the first part, uh, you were a bit nervous, and then I asked you about your childhood. You talked about it, but at one point you suddenly stopped. But then you got a better pace and kept talking. So you needed
yes,
that time initially to break the ice. But remember, in the main test, you don't have that scope. So be
yep,
confident from the very beginning. And then
okay,
you successfully answered the rest of the questions in part one when I asked something regarding your family, and you successfully compared big and small family and other stuff. And you also talked about internet usage by you. But at one point, the last question was like the how important is internet for education. You talked about learning, but it could have been more interesting if you talked about online classes, teaching resources,
yeah,
teaching
okay,
tools and learning tools, those stuff. But that's okay. And then for the second part, which was about the topic to talk about, like the cue card,
yes,
and I gave you the cue card, and it was about, let me show you again, about a movie that touched. Now, remember, you have to be very careful on this part because what you did, you kept on talking for 2 minutes with hesitations, but you kept on talking, but you did not cover all the points. If they say
okay,
maximum 2 minutes, so they will stop you by the time you finish
okay,
2 minutes. Maybe allow you a few more seconds, but no, you cannot talk for 3, 4 minutes. So you have to summarize them, and you have to keep
okay,
looking at each point to be covered in your speech. Like important characters were not discussed, so let alone the climax because it was completely, uh, so it was completely ignored.
okay,
Um, then you did better than in the part three, then part two, when I asked you some leading questions based on the previous one and some more questions.
yes,
You were successful in giving answers to those questions with less hesitations and better pace, better fluency. You also
yes,
used some interesting phrase like suits my likings. Even at the last question, even during the last question, I asked you if you were, what would you? So these kind of questions are asked to test your ability to understand the tense as well. This was a conditional sentence. If you were, what would you? And you did it correctly. You replied
okay,
with the right auxiliary verbs. If I was, though you should have said if I were, because
okay,
academically, if I were is correct. And you said I would do this
okay,
and that. That is appropriate. So overall, it's 6 because you time to time you hesitated, you took time to think, and
yeah,
sometimes you took much longer time to go move on with your next point, and especially
yeah,
you could not cover all the items in part 2 for the cue card. These are the reasons to
okay,
get 6. You will be able to get even up to 7 or at least 6.5 if you become more confident and more fluent and properly cover the whole cue card in part 2. Is that clear?
yes, sir.